So this is the one I was referring to. So you have to come to material management, purchasing. Under purchasing, you have got conditions. Within conditions, you see here, define access sequence key, define condition types, define exclusion indicators, calculation schema, so on and so forth. So here I will start with calculation schema. If I ask to set up the procedure, I'll just go with here, because once you have a full understanding, you can go from top down or bottom up approach. But to start with, you now go with define calculation schema. So here, when you are defining your own calculation schema, you have to copy from the existing standard one. There is something called RM000040. This is what we call it as calculation schema for the main standard purchase order. So I'll just go copy it. I'll rename this as CNIS Nissan 000. So, and I'll name it accordingly. I would say pricing procedure for Nissan POs. Okay, something like this. I just hit enter. I go with copy all. Okay, now you should use the counter only for manual item conditions. There is some message. You keep on clicking enter for some 30-40 times, and then your calculation schema got created. Now you see here, once you are with the calculation schema, you go into control data. Here in this control data, you need to understand the entire table. To start with, you see here step, then you have another what you call the column header called counter, and then you have something called condition type, description of the condition type, from and to fields, and when this is something called manual condition or not, and then you have something called required entry or not, and then this is statistics, entry for statistics purpose, and then this P is meant for printing required or not required on the PO, and then this is meant for subtotaling. This is called as requirement routine. This is called as calculations, condition, it's calculation type. That is what we call as alternative calculation type. And then there is something called condition formula or alternative condition formula. This is account key, and this is accrual key. All these, the table fields or the table columns you need to understand. To start with, you see here step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, etc., etc. This is what we call it as, let's say when you open a textbook, you will see chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, so on and so forth, right? So this step 1 is like your chapter. Okay, within the chapter you will have headings, subheadings, something like that. You see here chapter 1 or step 1 is meant for gross price only. Step 1 is meant for gross price only. You see here step 10, all these 10, wherever you see 10, it means it's only meant for discounts. Okay, you will have discounts of various types. So therefore, if you look at it, all these 10, wherever you see 10, it's meant for discount. So I'll just open one thing, and you can easily understand it. Just give me a moment. Give one moment. Let's say, you see here something like, I should be having some configuration manuals. Is it this also? Something like this. If I open this, You see here, 1. Chapter 1 is getting started. 1.1. What is 1.1? Global definition. This is heading. 1.2 means chapter 1, heading 2. Important SAP notes to be used for e-sourcing application. Chapter 1 of heading 3, which is meant for history of changes. You see here this 1 of 1, 1 of 2, 1 of 3. This of 1, 2, 3 is called counters. Now you apply the same thing to the condition technique. Okay. Deselect all. Now you see here, look at here. 1. Step 1 is nothing but chapter 1. Counter 1 means 1 of 1, 1 of 2. So both belongs to gross price only. But one PB00 is gross price automatic, whereas PBXX is gross price manual. Okay, so whichever you wanted, you can keep it, or if you want to have both, you can keep them both. Now look at here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep them as it is. Now look at here, in the chapter 10, that is for the discount, you have got too many discounts. Discounts on value basis, discount on quantity basis, discount on gross, discount on net. Like this, you see here, everything is discount only. So that's the reason it is chapter 10. On chapter 10, that is on discount, you have got different options on different basis. If you are going to give discount on the basis of value, you retain this, rest of them you delete it. If you want to give discount on the basis of gross price, you keep it, rest of them you delete it. Now, are you able to differentiate between step and counter? If you say yes, then I'm going to delete some of them, because you see here there are about 49 conditions in the standard calculation schema. Of course, nobody in the world will use these many conditions in the pricing procedure. At max, you can have 4, not more than that. At least I have not seen more than 4 or 5 condition types in the PO. Okay, so if you understand step and counter, then I'm going to delete some of them. Shall I go and delete? Pavitra, Radhika and Sundara.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right, you see here I'm going to keep PB00 and PBXX, that is gross price manual and automatic. I don't want this variance on quantity basis. I don't want this. I don't want gross price. I don't want discount on value. I wanted to retain only discount on gross price. Again, I am not the person who is going to say which one I want and which one I don't want. As a business user, as a process owner, he will give me what are the conditions that they are going to or that they will be discussing with their vendors. Based on that, I keep only those things and then remove the rest of them. Okay. Now header surcharge I don't want. For example, again surcharge on the basis of gross, I wanted to keep it. Header discount, vendor discount, vendor specific discounts I'm not going to keep them. So delete them. And then you see this surcharge and this on gross I've maintained. Then actual discount, price makeup, confirm price, value price, all these things I don't require, so I'm deleting them. Non-deductible tax, let me use NAVM, let me delete NAVS. Okay, and then FRA1, B1 I don't want. Okay, freight charges, do you want me to keep it on the basis of percentage, value or quantity? Procurement team. So can I which one do you want me to use? Freight, value basis or quantity basis or percentage basis?
Quantity basis.
Alright. And then neutral accruals, etc. I'm deleting them. Okay, and then customs also I'm deleting because customs will be added as part of SIN. Okay. SKTO, cash discount. If you want to keep it, you can keep it, or else you can delete even this one also.
1 minute, sir.
చెప్పండి.
ఇప్పుడు ఫ్రైట్ క్వాంటిటీ బేసిస్ ఉన్నారు, వాల్యూ బేసిస్ కూడా సమ్ యూనిట్ వాల్యూని బట్టి ఇన్సూరెన్స్ కవర్ చేస్తారు కదా.
It's up to you, and that's the reason I asked you which one do you want to maintain. If you want to retain both, you can keep it.
కోర్స్ అది రేర్ గా వస్తుంటాయి, కొరియర్స్ అలా బాగా కొరియర్స్ వాటిలో వస్తుంటాయి. బట్ క్వాంటిటీ ఎక్కువ తీసుకుంటారు, వాల్యూ పాయింట్ వచ్చేసి స్పెషల్ కేర్ లో తీసుకుంటారు.
No problem, sir. Based on your requirement, whatever condition types you wanted to keep it, you can keep it. For the demo purpose, I'm using only the gross price, discount on gross, surcharge on gross, non-deductible tax, okay, freight on the basis of quantity. Let's say I don't want even this one, cash discount. Let me delete them, right? And then I'm going to save it, right? So I have now my ZNIS 00. My pricing procedure contains only these things: gross price, discount on gross, surcharge on gross, freight on quantity basis, and then non-deductible tax, and then net. Okay. Now try to understand these things first. So PB00, PBXX, etc. These are the keys. Like, for your purchase organization, you have given 777C. For your company code, you have given 777. So one is key and one is description. So with this, you can understand this easily. Now you see here, from and to. You see this particular discount on gross. Discount on gross means what? This is not an independent one, whereas this is a dependent condition. Dependent on what? Dependent on gross. So therefore you have to give from. Okay. Next. Same case with ZA01, which is surcharge on gross. Because it is also a dependent on gross, you have to use 1, because wherever 1 is there, that is gross price. So you have to give chapter here, or the what you call step here on the gross. Right? Next one. You see, this is PB00 is the gross price, and you see discount on gross and surcharge on gross. Look at here, these things. So what is 10? 10 is discounts and surcharges. So whatever 1 is there on the step 1, everything needs to be accumulated, subtotaled, and keep it in step number 9. Therefore it will be calculated on the basis of 1. So these are predefined. Of course you can change it in case if you want to, but this is how it is going to be calculated. Everything up to 9 is calculated and put it into 9. For example, when you go into Kirana shop, it's a huge list of items to be procured, right? So you write everything on paper on page 1 and page 2 also. Whatever the total item that you specified in page 1, it will be subtotaled in the page 1 itself, and then the subtotal will be kept on top of the page 2. So this is like subtotaling. That is how it is to be done. And then you see your requirement routine, calculation type, and the condition type. Okay, these things we will discuss it once we move on further. Now you see here there is something called manual, required, and statistics purpose. I would say PBXX is manual, so therefore I check this indicator manual. Okay. So whether printing is required or not required, this is the key which controls it. This P indicator is nothing but print required. So you check whichever condition you wanted to be printed, you check that indicator. And then non-deductible tax as well as the freight is basically meant for statistical purposes. So in case if there is any condition which is meant for statistical purposes, you check that indicator. I'll just go and save it. Now you see, I'm going to add these things: PB00, PBXX, RA01, ZA01, and then VM, etc. So now you see, I'm going to copy this one, put it into my calculation schema. So what's my calculation schema? This is my calculation schema. Let me add it over here. And then what is my gross price? My gross price is PB00. Okay. So I specify here PB00/PB, XX. Next, my discount is RA01. Okay, I would just go with this one, and my surcharge is ZA01. So I just put it as surcharge over here, and then my freight charge FRC1. So let me use FRC1 here. Okay, and then NAVM, non-deductible tax. So let me put it as non-deductible tax somewhere here. Okay, so let's say this is my non-deductible tax. Okay, so these are my condition types, right? Now I have defined my, you see here, I have defined my calculation schema. Look at here, I have defined my calculation schema. So it means ZNIS 00 is being defined. Now what else do I require? I require schema group for vendor. I require schema group for purchase organization. So let me go into define schema group here. Go with define schema groups. You see here, schema group for vendor, schema group for purchase organization. So I'll just go and create one schema group for vendor and a schema group for purchase organization. I'll simply go with copy as. Here I go with CN. Okay. You see here, I'm going to write schema group for Nissan vendors. Okay, schema group for Nissan vendors. Hit enter, you save it. So I've created CN, come back. Now you see I'm going to create schema group for purchase organization. What is my schema group? Sorry, what is my purchasing group? Sorry, purchasing organization. You just see here, I'm going to create a new entry. You can go with copy also. I would say ZNIS. I would name it as schema group for Nissan purchase organizations. I've got two purchase organizations, 777C and 777G. Okay, now you see I have created ZNIS as my schema group for purchase organization. Now you see here, assign schema group to purchase organization. So here I'm going to make entries for my both of purchasing organizations. You see here 77C, 777G. So here I'm going to maintain ZNIS. That's what I have defined just now, isn't it? So let me just go and pick up ZNIS for both of my purchase organizations. I'll just go and save it. Okay, now you see here my schema group for purchase organization is GNIS, which I maintain here. My schema group for vendor is ZN. Right, now you see vendor I am yet to maintain it. Now after doing this, did you remember there is a transaction code called XK99, mass maintenance of vendor, isn't it? So therefore I go into purchasing view. Purchasing view is available in LFM1. It gets stored in LFM1 table or maybe LFM2 table. So I'll just go into table fields. I will look for schema group for vendor. Okay, and I will replace all the schema groups of the vendors created for the Nissan company code. I'm going to change it. Look for schema group for vendor. Just come down. I'll go with the search schema. You see here schema group for vendor. So here I'm going to select this one. Can you just give me a moment? One moment please. Hello? నాకు హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ కాల్ చేస్తారా మీరు? థ్యాంక్ యూ, బాయ్. Okay, so schema group for vendor, you select this one and go with execute. Okay, now here you specify your purchasing organizations 777C and 777G also. Okay, so here now I did not remember the vendor number, so therefore I wanted to go with this way. I would just go and execute. My system is going to bring me all the vendors. You see here, these are my vendors. The current schema group available is blank. It means standard schema group I am using it. New value I am going to go with ZN, the one that I have just defined. Okay, now you go with carry out mass maintenance or a mass change, and then you go with save. Now if you go into your vendor master, be it Sudhakar, Radhika, Venkat or whoever the vendor could be, you would have a vendor schema group maintained as ZN. Let the changes get saved, and let's go to the vendor master display and show you this one. So remember one thing, vendor schema group is assigned to the vendor master in the mass maintenance or in the XK02, the normal vendor master transaction codes, whereas the schema group for purchase organization is assigned to the purchasing organization in the configuration. Okay, so if you can go into purchasing, you see here schema group for vendor assigned is ZN. Right, now you see, let me take you back to my this one. You see here, I have assigned vendor schema group to all the vendors, purchasing organization schema group to both of my purchase organizations. So what is the leftover thing? This needs to be assigned, this link needs to be established. Now that's what I'm going for. You see here, once again go back to your configurations. Here define schema determination. If you go into here, you would have schema determination for standard purchase orders, schema determination for stock transport orders, and schema determination for market price. Okay, these are the two ones that you are going to do it. I'll go with standard purchase orders. Now look for new entries. What's your schema group for purchase organization? ZNIS. What's your schema group for vendor? ZN. Okay, and then what is your pricing procedure? ZNIS 00. Isn't it? That's the one that you have created. You make a link between all these three. Okay, ZNIS 00. Hit enter and then you save it. Right, now look at here, I have established the link between these three, ZN, ZNIS and ZNIS 00. I have established the link here. Then how are these conditions are tied up with this calculation schema? Are you getting my point? How are these things are tied up with calculation schema? I'm going to that. You see here, after saving this, you just have to perform one more thing. Now you see here condition type. Okay, this gross price, discount, surcharge, non-deductible tax, freight charges, etc., etc. You are talking about these, you are naming them as condition types, right? So condition types are of two types. One is time dependent condition type, second one is time independent condition type. That we will see. Now let's go and have a look at what does this condition type looks like, what does it contains. For that you have to go into define condition type, right? You go with define condition type. So here, if you look at here, go to position PB00. This is the first condition, right? have a look at this. PB00, if you go into details, once you are here, you see here this condition type, although I'm not going to define it for the pricing procedure demo, but I will be defining a new condition type. I would say the other way, output type or message type. I will be defining my own message type, which is as good as condition type in tomorrow's session, which is meant for output determination. So your basic condition type contains control data 1, section control data 1 and section control data 2. Apart from that, it also contains master data. It also contains on what basis are you going to define the scales, right? And it also tells you whether it's a group condition or not. So let me explain you one condition type so that you can apply the same principles for the other condition types. Point number 1, all the condition types which are time dependent, they should have access sequence key, right? So this is the key. All time dependent conditions shall have access sequence key. I'll get back to what is access sequence key once we are done with the condition type, right? Next, in the control data, you will have something called condition class, condition category and calculation type. These three you have to define. Condition, let me repeat, condition class, condition category and calculation type. What is condition class? It will tell you whether it is a price or a price dependent pricing element. Price means gross price. Price dependent element means discount, surcharge, isn't it? Tax, etc. So this PB00 is definitely a price. So therefore it is a price. Had it been discount, we have defined discount also, right? So what's your discount? RA01. Let me just take you here. I'll just come back. Choose position. You see here RA01 somewhere here. You see RA01. If you go into here, you see here this is discount. This is not a price. It is discount on gross price. So therefore, accordingly you have to choose condition class. Right? Now, back once again, go with gross price. Next one, calculation type. It's a quantity based. How are you going to calculate the total price? Is it on the basis of quantity or is it on the basis of weight? Is it on the basis of volume, etc.? You have to specify on what basis are you going to calculate the total price for the line item. So it is quantity basis, right? You can choose a different calculation type. If you want to go with a different calculation type, you see here, let me open another session, SPRO. You have to go to the table where you have defined the control data, material management. Under here, in the purchasing, when you go into the conditions, okay, where you define calculation schema, define price determination process. You see here, define calculation schema. When you are here, you go to your GNIS 00. You see here, if you go into here, you see here requirement routine calculation type. In case for PB00, what is the calculation type? Look at here. Calculation type is quantity. In case if you do not want to follow calculation type as quantity, but you wanted to follow a different one, you see here, this calculation type is called alternative calculation type. You do not want to alter the standard program, but you wanted to alter the logic for finding out total price for an item instead of quantity basis. If you want to go with volume basis, if you want to go fixed value, you see here you will have different options. Okay, you should go with one of the existing ones, or you define your own logic. You see, for example, total sum. If I go with this particular icon, source text, you would actually see a coding. So you define your own logic with, you specify some number, okay, that is called as requirement routine number, and you choose that number here in the calculation type. Okay, it's taking longer than expected. Give me a moment. Let me open the source code for this particular selected routine. It won't take this much time. Ideally, it should come quickly. You see here, this is the coding. Form is nothing but routine. Okay, so here like this, you can have different coding. Your own code also, you can put it here by simply specifying, assigning that code to some routine. In case if you want to go with that, you go like this. You use this calculation type. Otherwise, this calculation type is not at all required. Okay. Next one is condition category. This is a base price. So this will tell you whether it is a base price or it is dependent on something else. Okay. If it is tax, if it is cash discount, you will have to choose different options. Now, if I go with, you see, I think we have got discount RA01, right? If you see here, you won't have anything here. Okay. So based on what condition type, we have to choose it. Now you see here, group condition. This is not a group condition. What do you mean by group condition? Let's say in your purchase of 10 items are there. On all the 10 items, you get some discount of 100 rupees. Then that 100 is called header discount. So all the header conditions will have group conditions. For example, let me find out one header discount or something similar to that. Okay, so for example, cash discount, if you look at it, if you see it here, you see here it's a group condition. Cash discount means what? Discount on the total bill, isn't it? When you are getting discount on total bill, you see it is maintained as a group condition. So that's how you should maintain for that. Right now, it is PV00. PV00. Now you see here, I'll just go. So this is about that one. And then changes which can be made. Item condition. That means what? The price can be maintained or changed at item level. Its amount on percentage basis or in quantity relation. This should be made. And then you see here master data. You see here there is something called from period and to period. This will tell you whether it is a time dependent condition or time independent condition. And the pricing procedure here, you have to choose your own pricing procedure, that is GNIS 00, that needs to be selected. Okay, and come back here in the scales price. If you are maintaining scales on what basis? So I think in the last class you have maintained quantity basic scales. If it is quantity 100, 50 rupees. Quantity more than 100, 200, it's 47 rupees. If quantity is more than 500, the price is 45 rupees. So that scale basis, what is the basis for maintaining scales? Is it a quantity based, or is it a volume based, or is it a weight based? You can specify here. So all these things, when you maintain it, only then you could do those things in the transaction level. And then in the control data, you see here currency conversion, accruals, promotion condition. If it is a promotion condition, obviously this is not going to be included as a price. Similarly, exclusion indicator. This we will discuss it later. Okay, so this is about the conditions. So what you have to do is, for all the conditions that you have used, you just go and use the pricing procedure. The rest of them I'm not changing it. Okay, I think I have got RA01 selected, so I go and change this to GNIS 00. Okay, save it, and then what else? ZA01. I'll just go here, change this to ZNIS, save it, and then what is that? NAVM and FRC1. NAVM. Okay. And then FRC1. Okay, I'll simply go with FRC1, select it, go with it, maintain it here, ZNIS 00. Okay, now I'm done with my configurations. Okay, apart from this, you see here, define access sequence key. What did I say about access sequence key? It's a search strategy. It's a search strategy which is used to determine the correct condition record maintained for a particular condition type available from multiple condition tables. Okay, I'll just show you for one condition type. Rest of the one you can assume it that way. Okay, now you see, come on, let me just go back here, I'll just go with condition type. You see here, what is the condition type I'm going to choose? PB00. Let's work with PB00. If you go into PB00, you see access sequence key maintained is 002. Okay, now let me come back to my painter. You see here, I'll just go with, for example, PB00. This is how you will be working with rest of the ones. Each condition type can have multiple condition tables. Okay, so I'll just put it this way. Okay, each condition type will have multiple condition tables. Access sequence key 0002. You see here, I'm just going with accesses. You see here, access sequence key 0002 will have these many conditions: 118, 68, 16, so on and so forth. Okay, I'll just pick some of them based on my experience. You see here, I'll just go with contract item, that is 16. Okay, I'll just put it as here 16. I would go with contract item. Okay, next, you see here, plant info record 17, material info record 17. Okay, I would just go with 17 material info record. Okay, next, simply material info record with no plant specific nothing, and similarly info record non-stock item 28, or info record, look at here, 28. Info record non-stock item, something like that. You just go and specify outline agreement, plan dependent, or What is that? What is that? I have 17 material for record 17. Okay. So like this. Okay. So let me have like this. So PB00 is what? Condition type. Okay, I think I'm missing one more thing here. Just give me a moment. It's not this way. I should have assigned it in a different way. Just give me one moment. Okay, so it should be something like this. PB00, your gross price, isn't it? This needs to be assigned to an access sequence key. Okay, so that is 0002. Okay, and this should be, it should be like this. Okay, so this is your condition type. And this is your access sequence key. One moment. Okay, so this is how it is linked. Now you see here, condition type PB00 has got access sequence key 0002, which will have multiple condition tables. From these condition tables, system is going to determine a condition record. Just for the sake of example, you see here, I'm going to specify condition records for each of the table. Okay, so let's say these are multiple condition records. I would simply say condition record 1. Okay, I would say condition record 2. Okay, so this is condition record 3. Like this, from each of the table, you will have multiple condition records. So condition table 16 will have condition records, 17 will have condition records, 28 will have condition records, so on and so forth. Your access sequence key will determine correct condition record for a particular condition type from the list of allowed condition tables. That's how it gets defaulted. So now you see here, I have got these many. Look at here. For the access sequence key 0002, which is basically maintained for condition type PB00, it has got so many condition tables. Which table to be read first, which table to be read next? That will be decided by something called access number or sequence number. Right? Now you see here, sequence key, or simply called as sequence number. This will tell you, this number will tell you which table to be read first, which table to be read next. The lowest the number, that's the one which will be read first. So it looks into 118 table first. If it is available, it looks for the record. If it is not available, it looks into the next record. Right? So this exclusive indicator or exclusion indicator will tell you, let's say in my condition table 16, if I've got 40 records available in this table, assume it 28th record is my condition record. If the condition record is found, the search stops there itself and returns the value to the purchase order. If you want to do that way, you set the exclusion indicator. Even though the record is found out, you wanted to search further condition tables for the records, and then after completing all the condition tables, after searching all the condition tables and then return the value, do not set this indicator, exclusive indicator. So your exclusive indicator, if maintained at the condition table level, that will enable the system to stop search as soon as the condition record is identified. Okay, so this is how you should read at these condition exclusion indicators. Right now, with the explanation is completed, let me just go and create one material and see whether it is whether it can be triggered. I mean, our pricing procedure is triggering or not in the POs. I'm going to create a new material, say MM01. Give me another 5 minutes, I'll be done with it. Okay, industry sector, manufacturing, maintenance, repairs and operations. Did somebody change the things? I'm not seeing the complete things properly. Somebody modified it. Oh my God. I just have to go and change Metal Master configuration settings. I don't know who's changed it, but again we have to go and change master data, Metal Master. Where is it? Logistics General. It's here. Just give me a couple more minutes. Say Material Master. Under Material Master, you have to go to. Did you remember what is the screen sequence that we have created? GNIS or something like that? Did you remember that? Like somebody quoted some message. Sudhakar. Okay. It's taking time. So Nissan Group, ZN is the one which we have created. So I guess somebody changed it. I'll go to okay, assign screen sequence to user material type here. I'll rearrange the ones. Okay, so 01, somebody assigned 01 here. So I wanted to go with ZN. That's the one that I have defined. I'll just go and save it. Now let's go and create the material. /n mm01. Okay. Basic data 1 to purchasing. General plant data 1 to accounting. 77C is the plant in which I wanted to create my own material. Okay, I would say demo material for pricing procedure. I would just go like this. Unit of measure as each material group. Let me pick up something from the existing list. I'll just go quickly maintain all these things. Okay, and here valuation class. And I actually need not have to create even a new material also, but just for the sake of fresh example, I wanted to go and create it. Now, you see here, I've got a material, and now I'm going to create an info record for this. Okay, in the info record, can you please tell me, am I giving vendor number and the purchase organization? Okay, now this is material 367 /n ME11. Okay, for this vendor 305, I don't know who is this vendor. Let me check it. 777C. Okay, say Radhika. Material this one, purchasing organization this one. Now you see here, as soon as I give vendor and the purchasing organization, you see the triggering point. vendor and the purchasing organization. It looks for the relevant schema groups and finds out the calculation schema. Let's go and see if it is going to do that or not. Okay, so I'm giving vendor, material and purchasing organization, client, etc. And then let me go and create. Standard quantity, for example, 100. Price of also say 100. Now you go into conditions tab. If you go into conditions tab, what are the conditions applicable? You see here, PB0 by default it has come. Why? I maintained it as a required entry. Now if you go and look at here, you will see exactly the ones that we have configured. FRC1, NABM, PB00, PBXX, RA01 and ZA01, isn't it? So now you maintain it. RA01, gross price, discount on gross price, percentage discount on gross price. How much percentage? For example, 3% discount, right? Next, go and choose ZA01, that is surcharge, percentage, even this also, 1% surcharge, just have it. And then freight also you have it, right? FRC1, quantity based. Okay, how much? For example, 2 rupees a piece. You wanted to go with it, that way you go with it. Then in case if you want to go with non-deductible tax also, just put it over here. Okay, but again this is depending upon the what you call the settings for the tax calculation. Now you see I've maintained info record for this combination. Okay, now I'm going to create purchase order ME21N. Actually there is one more thing before PO creation. Let me show you even that one also. You have to create condition records for each of the conditions that you choose. If you go into it, under master data, you have conditions, prices. You see here, discounts and surcharges by vendor, by sub-range, by condition group, by material, by Incoterms, by invoice party. For example, if you want to go and create conditions or discounts, okay, condition group, even if you go with this also, okay. So what is the condition group? You have to specify. When you don't have condition group, there is no point in going here. And also if you are here, you see MEK1. Even with this also you can go. What is your what you call the RA01? You can simply go it like this. Key combination. The key combination will be determined based on the based on the what you call access sequence key. So here it looks like for RA01. What is the access sequence key for RA01? What is this? Back. For example, let me take you to once again conditions. Where is conditions in MM? You see here, I'll go with define condition types. For example, FRC1, quantity based condition you went with, right? You see here, go with this one. There is no access sequence key. When there is no access sequence key, even if you go with FRC1 here, do you see FRC1 here somewhere? It's not there. Okay, but can you just give me a moment, please? 1 second. Hello? Yes, speaking. Correct. Now, right now I'm in a meeting. Can you please give me a call after an hour? Good, thanks. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So before that, for all the condition types that you have selected, you have to go to the relevant node. You see here, you can even go with service condition in case if you are creating a service PO. So for various condition types, depending upon the price, by contract, by material group, market price, okay. So like this, depending upon whatever condition type you choose, you go and maintain condition type, and then you go and create a PO. Now you see, I'm going to create a PO for this material, this vendor combination. My PO document type, this one, okay. My vendor is 102, purchase organization this one, purchasing through this one, okay. Now you see here I'm entering the material mass. How much quantity? Let's say 10. In which plant? Let's say 777C. Look at here. Once you are there, okay, now you go to conditions. You see here, everything got default. PB 00, gross price 100, discount is 3%, ZA01 is 1%, that's what you gave it. Okay, net inclusive discount is 98, which is 100 minus 3 plus 1, that is 98. Okay, and non-deductible tax, though it is maintained there, it's not being picked up because it means the condition is not triggered. Okay, now you could see how these things would have come automatically. You see here, analysis. If you can go with analysis, you would see here what is the access sequence key, what is the condition table used, what is the condition record from which it is being picked up. You see here, these are the conditions which is triggered for your purchase order depending upon vendor schema group and purchase organization schema group. Look at here, go into PB00. Wherever you see this additional arrow, it means that's the one. You see here, for PB00 condition, these are the condition tables 0, 5, 10, 13, 15, 20, 25. From condition table 25, the condition record is being picked up. What is the condition record? This is the condition record. If you look at here, this is the condition record, okay, from which it is being picked up. Condition table, you see access, this is 25, access 25, okay, PB00, vendor this one, material this one, purchase organization plant, okay, from which the price is being picked up. Now for rest of them, if you look at here, if you see wherever you see there is an additional arrow mark, that means that's how it's being picked up. If you look at here, RS01, there is no condition record. Similarly, same thing you can look at from here. Select PB00, go with the display condition record. You can just go with it. You see here, it is from here, it is being picked up. Okay, if you look at here PB00, you could see the actual details here. This is the condition record, this is how it is being picked up. Okay, relevant to pricing, calculation type, quantity basis, quantity scale, base scale, gross price. You know, where are these things coming from? These are actually coming from your condition type definition. Okay, in case if there are any conversions, you could see here there are no conversions, so therefore nothing is appearing over here. Okay, similarly, if you want to go with it, you could see each of those things. Okay, so this is how you are going to use condition technique for the pricing. Now you see here, if you go into messages, you don't see any output type. Output type exactly works like a condition type. Right now output type is not coming. Tomorrow I will be once again explaining you condition types or condition technique from the perspective of output determination. Okay, we will once again go with condition technique tomorrow from the perspective of output or message determination. With that, we will conclude the condition technique concept in material management. Right? With this, I'm going to stop this session. Please let me know in case if you have any questions. Any questions from anybody? I will explain you in detail about the condition types, access sequence key, which I am going to create my own condition type, condition table, access sequence key for the message determination, which we will see it tomorrow. Yes, Pavitra.
Sir, I have a question.
Please. Tell me, Pavitra, please, have your question. Hello? Pavitra, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead. Ask your question.
Sir, if we create a new vendor, then we have to assign all these new schemas and calculations manually, or it will get added automatically?
Okay, for your question, let me create a new vendor like you are asking, XK01. Okay, I would simply say Srini. Account group, I think, do we have created our own group, GNIS or something like that? Look at here. Okay, internal number assignment. So you remove this one. Okay, company, whatever it is, country IN, recon account, cash management group, payment terms, okay, order currency, terms of payment. Now you see here, this is the only thing which I have to maintain, because like I told you, what is the triggering point? As soon as you do the vendor in the purchasing organization, purchasing document, it looks for the schema group, isn't it? Am I have to give anything other than this? Are you getting my point, Pavitra?
No.
Nothing except schema group.
But sir, that field is not a mandatory field, right?
It is a mandatory field. It's not being maintained as mandatory field here, but that is a mandatory field. Without that, your pricing procedure will not work. Though it is made as optional, you have to add value in that.
Okay.
Without that, what happens if with no value here? You see, you might be seeing in the what you call in the system which you have access, means the system which I am using right now, the system where I have given you access. I'll show you. You see, define schema group. Actually, having no value is also a schema group. You see here, having no value is also a schema group. That's the reason it is working, because SAP defined, reconfigured the system in such a way that you may forget to enter value in that. In such cases, system looks for the standard pricing procedure, right? So having no value itself is a value schema group, standard schema group for vendor. So that's the reason it works, but otherwise it will not work. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Alright, if you don't have questions, let me stop it now, and we will see the message determination on the basis of condition technique tomorrow. Okay?